Hello, I'm Skylar Kelly, and this is OMP at Home, A Victorian Valentine. With me are co-host Brian Smith, cast members Tanya Begini, Suzanne Bell, Carla Cogliandro, Sarah Jane Fondiller, Helen Moore, Marty Knott, as well as directors David Raymond and Charles Palella. Hopefully joining us will be Rebecca Hetherington, a producer, and lastly but not least, costume manager Ben Hale. We're the Off-Monroe Players, Rochester's Gilbert and Sullivan Company, and this is our fourth time doing something like this, so by now you probably know the drill. But if not, welcome! In just a few minutes, we'll begin watching a recording of OMP original production from 2015, A Victorian Valentine. This is a collection of songs from the works of Gilbert and Sullivan and their peers. After the show, stay tuned for a panel with all of these smiling faces. The show is recorded, but we are live, and we will be watching along with you. So if you have any questions about the production, share them in chat, and we'll be sure to get to them. Finally, you saw our little list of patrons at the front, and you know you didn't pay to be here today. Members of the Off-Monroe Players pride ourselves on producing quality entertainment in the city of Rochester, New York, absolutely for free. And this is only made possible by the generous donations of audience members and patrons. And I have exciting news. One of those generous and anonymous patrons has offered to match every donation we receive in our tip jar today. So to leave a tip in our tip jar, visit us at http://off-monroeplayers.org/patrons. That's OFF-MONROE players.org/patrons. Click the tip jar button at the top. You can leave any amount in the tip jar, and this is the same as leaving money in our now ancient fish bowl. And again, your tip jar donation will be matched. $5 is $10, $15 is $30. Go wild! And without further ado, we now present to you A Victorian Valentine, recorded in February 2015.
Oh many kinds of food I know, some love for rank and some for duty. Some give their hearts away for empty show, and others love for youth and beauty. To love for money all the world is prone, some love themselves and live all lonely. Give me that love that loves for love alone. I love that love, I love it only. I love that love, I love it only. Give me the love that loves for love alone. I love that love, I love it only. What man for any other joy can thirst, whose loving wife adores him duly? Want, misery, and care may do their worst, if loving woman loves you truly. A lover's thoughts are ever with his own, none truly loved is ever lonely. Give me the love that loves for love alone. I love that love, I love it only. I love that love, I love it only. Give me the love that loves for love alone. I love that love, I love it only.
You're taking such good care of me, I'm not inclined to set you free.
There's nothing that I wouldn't do to win a kindly word from you.
Oh, very well, then I'll admit I like you just a tiny bit.
When first I saw your face, I thought you were the dearest, just the crowd. It's nice, I'm warm, I think that we shall have a lovely day.
Very, very well for me.
18 the sea, they say.
Just fancy.
It almost looks as though the sun has really come to stay. Oh, what very charming weather. It's nice and warm, I think that we shall have a lovely day.
Very, very well for me.
18 the sea, they say. Just fancy. It almost looks as though the sun has really come to stay. Oh, what very charming weather. Thank goodness they have gone away. I've something I should like to say.
I want to hear it, I confess. I'm sure that I could never guess.
It's all the world to me, although the answer simply yes or no.
You haven't made it very plain, oh, fire, here they are again.
It's nice and warm, we think that we shall have a lovely day.
Very, very well for me.
18 the sea, they say.
Just fancy.
It almost looks as though there's something to come to say. Oh,
you see, I'm not thy bride.
Man would woo a fair maid slave. He should apprentice himself at 14, and practice from morning till eve. And when he's of age, if he will, I'll engage, he may capture the heart of a queen, the heart of a queen.
It is purely a matter of skill,
Which all may attain if they will, but every Jackie must study the neck if he wants to be sure of his Jill, if he wants to be sure of his Jill.
if he's made to misuse of
any trace, in any case.
Would you know the kind of name sets my heart aflame? I must be some cousin's day. She's most lost for shame. She may neither dance nor sing, but demure in everything, and her head in modest way, with pouting lips, with pouting lips, that seem to say, oh, kiss me, kiss me. No, I die of shame. Please, that's the kind of name sets my heart aflame. Kiss me, kiss me, kiss me. No, I die. Please, that's the kind of name sets my heart aflame. When a maid is bold and gay, with a tongue of flame, flaunting it in brave array, maiden may go hang. Some flag gay and holy mark, never shall my garden stop. My love, she rose of May, with pouting lips, with pouting lips, that seem to say, oh, kiss me, kiss me, no, I die of shame. Just the kind of man sets my heart aflame. Kiss me, kiss me. No, I die of shame. Listen, that's the kind of man sets my heart ashame. If you go in, you're sure to win. Yours will be the charming lady. Be your law, the ancient saw. Faint heart never won fair lady. Never, never, never. Faint heart never won fair lady. Every journey has an end, when at the worst affairs will end. Dark, the day is done. Hustle your horse and don't say die. He who shies at such a prize is not worth a man. Lady, be so kind to bear in mind. Faint heart never won fair lady. Never, never, never. Faint heart never won fair lady. While the sun shines, make your hay. Where a will is, there's a way. Fear the lion.
but the brave deserve the fair.
I'll take heart, I make a start, though I feel the prospect shade. Much I spend to bear thine hand, fate can never one fair never, 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 fate or never one fair lady.
Nothing venture, nothing win. Blood is thick, but water's thin. In for a penny, in for a pound. It's love that makes the world go round. Nothing venture, nothing win. Blood is thick, but water's thin. In for a penny, in for a pound. It's love that makes the world go round.
I cannot tell what this love may be, that cometh to all, but not to me. It cannot be kind whose lady mine, or why do I sit and sigh? It cannot be joy and rapture deep, or why do these gentle ladies weep? It cannot be bliss, for last is said, oh why are my eyes so wondrous red? For everywhere true love I see, cometh to all, but not to me. I cannot tell what this love may be. For I am life and I am gain, all days and sighing night and day. No, I am not life and I am not gain. Think of the gulf twixt them and me. Think of the gulf twixt them and me. If love is a thought, they show no wit, who foolishly hug and foster it. If love is a weed, how simple they gather it day by day. If love is a kettle that makes you smart, then why do you wear it next your heart? And if it be none of these high, oh why do I sit and sob and sigh? Though everywhere true love I see, coming to all, but not to me. I cannot tell what this love may be. For I am life and I am gay, while they sit sighing night and day. No, I am not life and I am not gay. Think of the gulf twixt them and me. Think of the gulf twixt them and me.
And so he says to me, well, I had a hole in one today.
And then I said, well, you had a hole in it. You must dispose of both of them. But in the environment. night and day. His word you can listen if you listen to him now, a thrilling his round delay.
Few folks can boast a voice like mine, such beauty of tones, a gift divine. I'll sing my notes from A to G, and an opera star someday will be. Boys can boast a voice so fine, the beauty of voice and gift divine. I'll sing my notes from A to G, and an opera star I will be. And an opera star I'll be. An opera star I'll be. I'll sing my notes from A to G, and opera star I will someday be. On high in the tree dwelt a bachelor owl, a grim old customer he. That fellow, he cried with a ferocious scowl, will soon be my death, I can see. He sings by day, he sings by night. Oh, would that his lease would expire next May, for nothing on earth can be such a bore as musical folk in the house. The house next door. He sings by night, he sings by day, and no one persuade him to stay away. He leaves notes from A to G, and I'll rest I will be.
a churchyard bell and a doleful ding dong. Oh, it's the song of a popinjay bravely born, who turned up his noble nose with scorn. The humble merry maid, hearing proud, who loved the Lord and who laughed aloud at the moan of a merry man moping mum, whose soul was sad and whose glance was glum, who sipped no sup and who craved no crumb, and he sighed his love of lady. Lady, lady, misery me like a lady. He sipped no sup and he craved no crumb, as he sighed for the love of a lady.
I have a song to sing.
What is your song, oh?
It is sung with a sigh and a tear in the eye, for it tells of a right and wrong. Oh, it's the song of a merry maid, once so gay, who turned on her heel and tripped away from the peak of popinjay bravely born, who turned up his noble nose with scorn at the humble heart that he did not prize. So she begged on her knees with downcast eyes for the love of the merry man moping mum, whose soul was sad and whose glance was glum, who sipped no sup and who craved no crumb, as he sighed for the love of a lady.
Lady, lady, misery me like a lady. His pain were o'er and he sighed no more, for he lived in the love of a lady. Lady, lady, misery me like a lady. His pains were o'er and he sighed no more, for he lived in the love of a lady.
Love is a plaintive song, sung by a suffering maid, telling a tale of wrong, telling of hope betrayed, tuned to its changing note, sorry when he is sad, blind to his every mood, merry when he is glad, merry when he is glad. Love that no wrong can cure, love that is always pure, that is the love that's pure, that is the love that's true. Love that no wrong can cure, love that is always pure, that is the love that's pure, that is the love that's rendering good for ill, smiling at every frown, yielding your own self-will, laughing your teardrops down, never a selfish whim, trouble or pain to stir, everything for him, nothing at all for her, nothing at all for her. Love that will endure, though the rewards be few, that is the love that's pure, that is the love that's true. Love that will endure, though
all you've got upon your pride. It don't pretend to shake my act. I would aside. It merely states the simple facts. This heart of mine, this part of mine.
10 minutes since my heart's at night. It bounces black, it then said left, it bounces right. Heart's off intact. I must obey, it's free to strain. You tell me so. What should it change its mind again? I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
It's sailor's ocean wide. No doubt the heart should be your guide. But it is awkward when you find a heart that does not know its mind. A heart that does not know its mind.
On a tree by a river, a little content, and willow, tit willow, tit willow. And I said to him, Dicky bird, why do you sit singing willow, tit willow, tit willow? Is it weakness of intellect, birdie, I cry, or the rather tough word in your little inside? With a shake of his poor little head, he replied, oh willow, tit willow, tit willow. He slapped at his chest as he sat on that bough, singing willow, titwillow, titwillow. And a cold perspiration bespangled his brow. Oh, willow, titwillow, titwillow. He sobbed and he sighed, and a gurgle he gave. Then he plunged himself into the billowy wave, and an echo rose from the suicide's grave. Now I feel just as sure as I'm sure that my name is Titwillow, Titwillow, Titwillow. That was blighted affection that made him exclaim, oh, willow, titwillow, titwillow. And if you remain callous and obdurate, I shall perish as he did, and you will know why. Though I probably shall not exclaim as I die. Oh, willow, titwillow, titwillow. Welcome joy, adieu to sadness, as aurora gives a day, so those eyes, twin orbs of gladness, chase the clouds of care away. Irresistible incentive bids me humbly kiss your hand. I'm your servant, most attentive, most attentive. What with adoration and fascination, who adopts my lamentation, no occasion do I miss. Burdened to distraction by maddening inaction, I find some satisfaction in a posture like this. If you're immortal, sang as you're divine, welcome to my portal. Angel be mine, immortal, divine. Angel be mine. Irresistible incentive. thousand limitations do I miss? What adoration to a thousand limitations do I miss? I'm your servant, most attentive, most attentive. What adoration and fascination to a thousand limitations do I miss? You're most obedient command.
Welcome back. You've been watching A Victorian Valentine, an OMP original production staged in 2015. I'm Skylar Kelly, and with us to talk about the show are my co-host and OMP president, Brian Smith, directors Charles Palella and David Raymond, costume manager Ben Hale, and cast members Tanya Begini, Suzanne Bell, Carla Cagliandro, Sarah Jane Fondeller, Helen Moore, and Marty Knott. Hi, guys. How's it going?
Hi.
Very well.
Well,
So, Charles and David, what was the process of the creative process like coming up with this show? And I think Brian has more questions in this vein as well.
Yeah, I can. Can I start?
Certainly.
Why, go ahead.
The process. Well, we were talking about this. I don't really remember it that well. I remember I had an idea of doing a review other than our review, that had songs other than by Gilbert and Sullivan, or including songs other than Gilbert and Sullivan. And the one thing I wanted in it was that song, Love's Old Sweet Song, which is toward the end of this show and kind of helps to tie it up. And I couldn't come up with anything I thought worked very well, that was very interesting, so I didn't think of it. But then I remember that for the winter play slot that we have that year, 2015, they didn't have anything. And someone must have mentioned it, and I thought of that and mentioned it to whoever, I don't even remember. Charles, jump in somewhere. I don't really remember the order of this.
Well, we had talked about, let's put something there, and we had that song, and it was a great song. You had found a whole bunch of songs.
Yes.
And it had just happened like earlier in 2014. I was asked to direct a show, and it had to have all of these songs in it, and if this other show did. And so it was interesting, and I basically took all the songs and they just sort of suggested a plot. And so I thought, well, we could probably do the same thing with Gilbert and Sullivan. I mean, there's certainly plenty of songs to choose from. So we started with Love's Old Sweet Song and kind of branched out from there and came up with this wedding idea, and things just kind of evolved from there.
Yeah, and the thing I most remember about it was that we had to do it in a hurry.
Right.
I think we were asked to do it around Thanksgiving, I think.
Oh.
And I remember getting in touch with all of you, everybody that was in it, asking if they could do it. And luckily everybody said they could. We had the notion that we did not want to audition people for it. We just wanted to pick the people we wanted, and we knew who we wanted. So that was why we got in touch with all of you. So I remember that. I don't remember it even changing much once we got it going, because it seemed to work okay. And I don't, Brian is going to ask, I think, about the other songs, the non-Gilbert and Sullivan. And I honestly don't remember when I chose them. I liked them. I thought they fit in, and they gave people a chance to, you had different groups of people, and that, you were able to use people differently. But as far as it being like thinking it out, we didn't think it out. We just did it.
Well, then it's sort of a chicken and the egg question. Did the numbers come first, and did you assemble them before or after you cast it? Did you change once you cast it? You chose who it was. Were their numbers changed, or you picked people to do specific numbers and then work from there?
We picked the songs first. Like we had the whole show all picked out, first, and then we thought about the different characters that ended up. It started off with, maybe we'll just have 4 people. No, we need more. Well, we need this. This is a quartet, and then we'll need to get them off stage and more people. Eventually, 10 ended up being the magic number. And then, and once we had all of the characters, all the songs all set, then we're like, okay, who do we see doing this? All right, who do we match up with this? And then we just kind of put it all together in our heads. And that's when we called everybody. And thank you all for saying yes, because we were thrilled. It came out much better than we thought it was going to, thanks to everyone's work.
Oh yes, it's certainly a candy box full of delights. To stay with our Valentine idea, a heart-shaped candy box full of delights. And to move on to those delights, of which many of the performers here, I'd like to ask, and if you would all weigh in, how did you come to creating your character? What was your process? And did you use the Gilbert and Sullivan characters that had sung the numbers in context as a touchstone to work from, or did you do an amalgamation of the old Bat character as opposed to the soubrette character, as opposed to the soprano, etc., and such as that? Let's start with Helen.
Okay, here I did use the type character from Gilbert and Sullivan, the mature woman who is strong-willed, such as the first song I sing on the day that I was wedded is the Duchess and Gondoliers. But the woman who knows her man, knows how to manipulate her man, because women didn't have too much power back in the Victorian day, but she uses her guiles to get what she needs out of her man.
Very good. And then I'm going to turn to because Helen manipulated you also at one point. So where did you pull from to create the character that you portrayed?
I used Russell Stover as my model. I'm sorry. You brought up the candy. I'm sorry. No, you can't confuse me for a Gilbert and Sullivan savant. I took the songs and the character in context.
It was presented by David and Charles.
Yes, yeah. We were trying to make the thing hang together, and so I think I was father of somebody, and I confess
Skylar.
of Skylar's dad. That's right, because
Father
that
of the
was an
groom.
early song when I'm singing to him. But I have a feeling that I was a bachelor father. Was that the mode?
Yeah.
That sounds right. And you were
Yeah.
also you were in a wealthy milieu in the show, but you were not
Right.
from a wealthy background, which
Right,
was
right. So
that
yeah,
makes your
so
song make sense.
but I have to say that Sarah Jane and Helen is my opposites. Really kind of also built the character. I'm because it was all about whatever was going on between me and them. So.
Well, and then turning to Sarah Jane as the opposite on that level, the other corner on that triangle. Let's put it that way. What was your inspiration, or how did you build your character?
Oh, yeah, I was the Lord High Substitute. So I also played Rachel's part
Yes.
for theater, for Fringe Fest. So I usually those parts I always play Lady Bracknell.
Oh,
that's just natural. The voice comes out, it just comes out like Lady Bracknell. Although for Love's Sweet Song, it was a little different because I love that song. And for Rachel, I was actually, when I took over Rachel's part, she was woman number one. I was called a cougar because the soubrette is always like almost like a Marilyn Monroe part to me in my brain. And so, yeah, I was called a cougar because I was a little, Rachel's a lot younger than I am.
okay. Well, let's move on to the somewhat soubrette role of the servant maid and Ms. Bell, to see how you figured out your way into this happy group.
Yeah. It just was instantly apparent. The nosy maid and always in everybody's business. It I don't know, it seemed really natural. And thank God I can act, because I certainly can't sing. But it was so fun, and just it just seemed to just go.
You still have the wig, right?
Right.
Yeah, she has her friend with her.
Here's my friend, the wig.
The actual performer.
She did it.
Yes. What a way to top off a character, as I say.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and I just as a general, trivia knowledge, it's nice to speak to someone who plays a maid so well on the anniversary of the character actress Thelma Ritter's birthday, who played many, many maids in many, many movies over the years. So have to shout out to character actresses everywhere, including Off-Monroe. So I guess next we turn to the divas of the day, which would be Carla and Tanya. Let's start with Carla. I was never sure if you were the direct mother of the bride. I could never figure out.
No, I was woman number 2. I was never told I was the mother.
Helen and Sarah Jane were the mother.
We were the mother.
Well, then I could never quite tell what Carla was myself. So what were you, Carla? Where were you figuring into this?
I was probably one of every one of the soprano roles that GNS has. And I like Helen said and Marty said, I took my character from the songs that I was given and played with them that way. It wasn't based on one specific character, but if I could say one, it would probably be Elsie.
Oh,
she's my favorite character. So.
Oh, and a good
Elsie
one.
Maynard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Tanya, you being saving your best for last, or least not least, and all of that. Where you were the bride, so that was obvious. So, what about you?
Well, I built my character based on the context of this particular production, the songs I received, and talking with David and Charles, and seeing what their vision was. I actually don't have the very long history with OMP Productions as most of the cast does here. I've done a handful, but not too many. So for me, this was a wonderful experience, because I really got, in some cases, an introduction to some of the GNS productions that I had never seen and never participated in. But because I was given songs from those productions to sing, I got to know them, and I, saw what they were all about. So that was really very cool for me.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. And then turning to Ben, who was able to costume you all. Ben, specifically, did you see a run through of the show or anything before, or did David and Charles tell you what they were looking for in terms of costuming each of the cast members?
Yeah, actually, they gave me a really good idea as far as like the time period we wanted, and we have such a large selection of costumes at Off-Monroe Players. I got really lucky and got to just pick the dresses I wanted, and then figure out which character or lady they would fit into. So I was actually able to match them very easily with the men. So as far as like a final tableau goes, I don't know if you noticed, but all the different couples were in matching colors, like Marty and Helen were in red, and Edward and Carla were in green, and things like that. So because all the men already had the tuxes, all we had to do was find the matching color vest that would work with the woman's dress. So it was actually a really fun, easy process, and I didn't have to make a whole ton of adjustments. I think I had to bring up Helen's dress, and then I think Rachel, we had to make some adjustments to the top of the dress and things like that. But it was a really fun process, and really enjoyable to work with such beautiful costumes.
And you decided on the color combinations yourself?
Correct. Basically, if the dress fit the woman, then the man got that color.
Okay, so you started with the woman and went to the guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Black with just accents. That makes a little sense. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you have any trouble getting a hat for everyone? I know some people have larger heads than others.
Yeah, we did have to put a little filler in some of the top hats for some of the guys. For the women, I got really lucky. Amanda Lobau donated a couple of beautiful hats she had, and then we have, again, a lot of wonderful ones in the costume closet.
Did all of the costume pieces come from our costume closet, or as opposed, you didn't have to make anything for the show?
So Sarah Jane actually brought in her own dresses, and we got to pick from those. And the men, a lot of them actually had their own tuxes already. And then we did have some tuxes from Very Truly Yours. I think Marty wore the tails from that show and stuff like that.
I would add that another caveat of our doing this show was that it couldn't cost much of anything. So that all worked out very well, and it looked very put together, as they say. And we didn't have any scenery, so that's all you had to look at in a sense. So it looked very handsome. I liked it very much. We were pleased with that aspect of it.
Which made it a good candidate to bring to Fringe Fest because we were able to travel light.
Yeah, and but there at the church, I was struck by how nice it was to be there, like at the altar, with the whole idea of the wedding, and it worked out very well with that setting as well. And I noticed that in the chat, one of our viewers was talking about how impressive the organ was and the pipes and everything, but it made a really nice background for the costumes and the show itself. So were there any other questions from the chat, Skylar, before
No,
because I didn't look at that closely.
No questions, but I do want to mention Charles has seen it. Gary Zemansky in our chat said he called the show the Savoyard Mamma Mia. After.
A jukebox musical.
Yes, a nice way to say jukebox musical.
I have a question. I have a question for Skylar.
Oh yeah.
I have a question for Skylar. Skylar, first of all, you my son. You're my son. And so you get to answer the character question that Brian posed early on too. But I want to know what it was like to perform without a ponytail.
It was interesting. It was strange for those who don't know me. I usually carry a ponytail, quite a long one. It's real weird whenever you get it cut off. It just feels weird for about a month, and then you get used to it and it starts to grow back. It was an interesting experience. I'll tuck up the ponytail under a hat. I think I must have taken the hat off a couple of times in the show, and that's why I had to cut it. But
well, Skylar, I have to. That begs the question: is this ponytail the last time you cut your hair was for Victorian Valentine?
5 years ago. I might have cut it once since then for another show, but I very rarely do I have it all cut off.
We'll have to do this as a quiz sometime for a regular Off-Monroe meeting.
Yeah.
When has Skylar cut his hair?
How many times?
How many times?
That would be
I just and then question for everybody in general, or to ask each other. What was the most difficult number for you to learn and/or sing?
All of them.
I know what Carla's going to say.
Well, let's go in reverse order. First of all, Skylar, we'll start with Skylar. What was the most difficult or challenging number for you?
I think that at the time, I can sing it a little bit easier now, but at the time, "Oh Gentlemen, Listen, I Pray" was a little bit high for my what was my range at the time. So I didn't feel like I was straining, but I had to really kind of push it to figure that one out.
Okay, then we'll go to Tanya.
I don't remember the name of the piece, but it was one of the it was the duet with Skylar that just had very quick wording to it.
I have a song to sing.
I have a song to
I
sing.
have a song to sing.
I think it was I Have a Song to, yes, that's the one. And it was simply getting all of the syllables out.
Story songs have their challenges like
Right.
that. Carla,
The
David,
trio.
David, let's see if it is the right one you think.
Oh,
David?
yeah, it is the trio. It's the trio with me, Ron, and Rachel. I don't remember the name of it, but it's very
Oh,
good.
Wisdom Says Festina Lente.
Yes. Yes.
No wonder you can't remember it.
And I wasn't the only one. It was Rachel and Ron both agreed. It was very hard every time
Yeah.
we had
And it was
we were
completely new to you too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lovely piece.
Beautiful.
It has Suzanne, what about you?
Oh, I mean, my solo.
Were I thy bride?
Were I thy bride? You know, as soon as I have to sing a solo, my throat chokes up and I go to hell. So, well.
It sounded
But
great.
you move through them like a trooper.
Yeah, that's why it's being a good actress.
Yes. Yeah. Sarah Jane.
I love the group number. Oh gosh, come on.
At the end?
I long to be a prima donna.
The women.
one, yeah.
That was my
You know, just having a little tiny bit that went better. And I love being part of the group number. That was really fun.
Victor Herbert's lovely.
Yeah.
Sarah Jane, what about you?
Well, I just remember the opening number, Pretty Wedding, and I think also when I sang Helen's first song, I had the words pasted on the front of the pew.
A lot of words.
I remember that.
On the day when I was wedded, it's a lot of words.
But also for Pretty Wedding, because some people didn't have that either.
Well, we do what we have to do in some cases. Yes, Marty, you said every one you sang.
Oh, I'm sure it was all of them. Probably, I think the hardest one though was the duet with Helen and/or Sarah Jane, where I, with the change of character was like in very proper in the middle, and then over to the pulpit and waving my hands around and all that. It's like, I mean, probably the only quasi patter song I ever did. And
I've done it twice. It's a challenge, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And then Helen, what about you?
I was going to say the same one. Welcome Joy, Adieu to Sadness, that duet with Marty. Because keeping together, we're both a rapid patter. One person's going slowly and one's doing a rapid patter.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
It really is.
Finding a common beat and breathing together.
Yes.
Are the two things. Especially.
Thank you both for carrying me on your backs through that one.
Well, it seemed effortless in the film.
Well, it is when you're riding somebody else's back.
So I don't know, Charles and David, any reflections on it? Anything that you would, if we were to revive it, any alterations possibly? Anything in a revisit that you might consider?
In terms of the structure of the whole thing,
the whole piece, any maybe additions, substitutions, character changes, any?
You know what? I wouldn't. I don't think it seemed to work extremely well. What I would change if I were going to direct, I directed the first part and Charles directed the second part, basically, just to keep it simple. I saw a lot of things where I would put more movement in it and maybe make, as you were pointing out, make the relationships of the characters a little clearer at times, which wouldn't be difficult to do. We just put it together in such a hurry. I was glad to have it up and looking like something.
Well, I mean, was part of the, you guys made a decision to not have dialogue. So, I mean, first of all, someone would have had to write it since this wasn't really a presented GNS play, right? But would you insert dialogue if you were to redo it? No.
No.
Okay.
What would be neat for me if OMP were to decide to do it again, because a lot of what we were doing involved, letting the actors do themselves. We didn't want to overblock things. We had an idea of what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do things, but like, for example, with the duet, Tanya and Skylar, I think one of my only directions is, okay, Tanya, hit Skylar. Oh, that was fun. Hit him again. And you did. You gave him some good.
That's how we roll.
And Suzanne, during Titwillow, I couldn't have directed it any better. You just. I said, this is what needs to happen. Go, and you did, and I'm like, okay, I'm stepping out of the way. And if OMP were to do it again with a different cast, you could have a different show, different interpersonal dynamics, which could be a lot of fun, just to give that sort of thing, the show itself a little bit of staying power, because you can reinterpret it this way or that way.
And many of the songs in it are used, the way we use them is different than the way they're actually used in the original show.
You successfully pulled them out of context.
Yeah, well, we like to think we did. Can I mention a couple people, because they're not part of this? Alex Kuczynski.
Yes.
Who had to play
amazing
128 songs in a row. And he was excellent working with people that needed the extra help and lowering key, things that needed to be done like that.
You'd have lowered a key? Now you tell me.
Now 35 people know that. Edward, who
yes,
part of the pleasure of doing this, or like picking these people and shaking them up in the jar, was you get to put people together that you would never see performing something together in one of our regular productions. For example, Suzanne and Edward, Skylar and Tanya, etc. So that's neat. To me, it is anyway. And Chris Garver, as Suzanne is talking about how much fun she had on stage. Well, she had a lot of it with him. And I thought he was excellent. And I have one story is when we first did the run through of it, it was either at that church or it was at Ron's church. And I kept noticing like people would get up and sing, and Chris was just sitting there through the whole thing. We realized we didn't give him anything to sing. We just had him as the silent butler. So we added him into a few of the numbers, and he did great, I thought. So so props to all those three, because they did a great job as well.
Now, so Chris he plays opposite Suzanne, and where I guess he doesn't sing in that, Were I Thy Bride. He was just silent through the whole thing originally, huh?
Yeah, well, not really intentionally. It was sort of, I saw it in the first run through, and he was quite nice about it. But I said, we really have to give you something to do, So, and that was easy enough, because these songs are all verses. You can just give somebody a verse of a song. Yeah. So we got him a little more to do anyway.
Rebecca Hetherington was the producer. Did you work closely with her?
I recall, yes, but when things go well in a show, I usually don't remember it in a lot of detail. It's just this good feeling. If everything fell apart and everybody was at each other's throat, I'd remember all of that. But I remember working closely really with everybody that was involved in this show and not having any real issues of any kind. And she was extremely helpful, I'm sure.
That was my
remember,
favorite things about this show was that all the drama was on stage. It was so easy, and there was no backstage.
Oh, it had to be. One other person that's not here is Ron, and also excellent. One of the I wanted to put Ron and Carla together, because I don't think they'd ever been even in a show together, or you may not even have known him, Carla, really. So and I knew that would sound hot, so we figured we need to get them together somehow. So and he did
wonderful working with Ron.
Yeah, he was a great, very upbeat addition to it, as you all were.
Ron maybe more than me, anyhow.
Well,
Well,
the
in
place
your
where
way,
Ron
Skylar. Yeah.
sings loudly into the drunken Edward's ear is just classic.
That was great. Hi, Dozer.
Hi, everybody. He is
Um,
fascinated by all of you. He's been sitting on my lap
Did he enjoy the show?
He's upstaging.
like
Yes.
you've been. Yeah.
The old thing, don't perform with children or animals because take all the focus.
Steal the show.
How are we on time, Skylar?
It's around about 4 o'clock, so we probably ought to wrap up pretty soon.
Just a question for you all, and through your comments in last thing, a quick favorite moment, and would you do it all again if you had to do it tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
The day. How about the day after tomorrow?
Give me a month anyway.
Give us one rehearsal.
That's how ready you are. Okay, so just a quick round robin. If you would do it all again, let's start with Helen again, or your favorite moment. Sorry.
My favorite moment was Love's Old Sweet Song.
Yes.
It was written in 1884, and it's still popular today. I mean, people are familiar with it, and it was sung. It's a parlor song, and it was sung in my parlor, my parents' parlor, growing up. So it's very familiar to me.
Lovely, David.
I would say hearing Carla sing the Victor Herbert song, because I know you like that one, and I love it too. And it was just nice to hear it sung.
It's a great number.
Very nicely. Other than that, I don't really have a favorite. I was watching this and thinking, boy, this was pretty good.
Ben, favorite moment or mishap, perhaps costume malfunction?
No, fortunately, there weren't any of those. I can't pick a favorite moment. I think my favorite moment is the juxtaposition of the beautiful numbers and then the comedic numbers, because the flow was just so beautifully back and forth. It really kept you engaged the whole show.
Cool. Tanya?
I have one favorite moment. I would just reiterate that for me, it was just a real treat to be able to sing several songs from different GNS shows that I was not necessarily familiar with.
Cool. Carla?
It would have to be my duet with Ron, the Pirates duet.
Oh, I'll leave me that to pine.
Yes. Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sarah Jane?
I enjoyed singing the operetta songs that weren't GNS.
For a change. It's nice to have
For a change, yeah.
Tyler?
Well, gosh, it's such a great show, honestly. All the music is really beautiful. I listened to it, but the one memory that really sticks out was during rehearsal. I was plucking around on the piano, and I just played like Dancing in the Moonlight, and Rachel came up to me and she said, "Really?" And I was so shocked by it, and I found out later she said that because she just really loves that song. I don't know why. That's not really a relevant memory, but that's just the one that's in my head.
And that's perfectly great. Marty?
Favorite moment that I was in was I agree with Helen, Love's Old Sweet Song. I love a duet with Helen or Jane. That was just awesome. My favorite moment I wasn't in was Edward in Kiss Me. Kiss Me. I just thought he so delivered that so well. That was
Drunken song from Ida. Yeah.
It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah. Ms. Bell?
Well, I would agree. I loved Edward's Kiss Me. It was hysterical. But maybe favorite singing moment was the Prima Donna song, and it was sort of fun slinging poor Chris around and mauling him and stuff.
Nothing beats a physical bit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then last but not least, Charles, favorite moment.
You know, my favorite moment I think had to be opening night, when I could hear audience's reaction and think, we got something good, because we get so close to it that it's hard to, is this good? Are people going to like it? But we were having so much fun, and it was nice to know that that fun and that love of the music that we had and the fun that we were having was able to get out to our audiences. And that made me feel really good to know that, yeah, we really did something good here. So that opening night and hearing the audience's reactions for the first time were my favorite moments.
Yeah, the giving over of a piece you've worked hard on to the audience to enjoy is a wonderful moment for me as a director and also as a performer. And I think you all did such a lovely job with that. And the heart showed in your performances, and to the enjoyment of the performances then, and hopefully to the people today who have sat in and witnessed this rebroadcast of Victorian Valentine. I'm going to turn it back over to Skylar to wrap it up. And Skylar, with the question, is this available now on our YouTube channel for people to see?
Yes.
And then I'll let you wrap it up, and goodbye from me. And thank you all for answering my questions. And hopefully we've all had a great time.
Definitely.
The show will be available on YouTube. I believe it is now. It's the same exact link, or it will be as soon as I click end stream. The same exact link, and you can watch it all through from beginning to end again if you choose. I see no reason why you shouldn't do that. Go ahead. Thank you all very much for watching and joining us this afternoon. Though there's one more chance right now to get your tip in our tip jar matched by a generous anonymous patron. And so if you would like to do that, visit us at http://off-monroeplayers.org/patrons and click the tip jar button, and you can leave a tip of any amount, and it will be matched by our anonymous patron. Again, thank you all very much for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all.
Great to see you all again.
Bye.